and make up?
Ask her. I don't know the answer to that. There's going to have to be, there would need to be trust.
They say every storm begins with silence. And for the Brown family, that silence came the moment Kody stopped pretending to listen. The camera catches him sitting alone, hands clasped, eyes unfocused. A man surrounded by chaos of his own creation. Season 20 opens not with laughter, not with the chaos of plural marriage, but with emptiness. A house too quiet. A phone that doesn't ring. And a father realizing that his children have stopped calling. They just don't want to see me, Kody admits to producers, voice cracking. They've chosen sides. But what he doesn't say, what the cameras slowly reveal, is that this time it wasn't just about Christine leaving. It wasn't about plural marriage failing. It was about a father who stopped showing up long before the cameras stopped rolling. Film frames, scene 2. The gathering. Janelle's kitchen is filled with quiet tension. The chairs are full, Logan, Maddie, Gabe, Savannah, but no one speaks. It's the first time they've all gathered since Garrison's death, and yet the weight in the air isn't just grief. It's resentment. It's the unspoken truth that they've all carried for too long. The camera lingers on Janelle, her eyes swollen from tears, hands trembling as she tries to hold a mug of coffee steady. He didn't even call when Gabe was in the hospital, she whispers. Not once. And Logan, the oldest, the one who always played mediator, finally breaks. Mom, he's not coming back. Not the dad we had. That man's gone. The words hang heavy, echoing through the quiet. Janelle doesn't argue. She just nods because she knows it's true. Broken Heart scene 3, Kody's isolation. Cut to Kody, pacing in the driveway of Robyn's home, arms flailing as he tries to justify himself to producers. He blames Janelle. He blames Christine. He blames the spirit of disunity. But every word sounds hollow. Every excuse cracks under the weight of his guilt. They turned the kids against me, he insists. I loved them. I gave them everything. The irony is unbearable, because behind him the camera catches Robyn standing by the window, expression unreadable. And for the first time in years, she doesn't defend him. The golden alliance that once ruled the Brown family begins to fracture. The woman who built the illusion of unity now quietly steps back, as the man who worshipped her begins to fall apart. Candles scene 4. The silent dinner at Christine's house. Laughter fills the room, but it's bittersweet. Michael T holds her baby close while Truly helps Janelle's grandkids set the table. For the first time in years, the wives who once lived in competition now share peace. Born from pain, born from loss. Christine raises her glass, tears in her eyes. To Garrison, and to the truth. The table goes quiet, as everyone knows what she means. The truth isn't just about death. It's about the years of emotional neglect. The favoritism. The way one woman's comfort came before an entire family's unity. Collision scene 5. The collapse begins when Kody arrives. Unannounced, the energy in the room shifts instantly. The laughter dies. The children go quiet. Even the producers hesitate to film. He walks in expecting warmth. He's met with silence. You shouldn't be here, Logan says quietly. This isn't your moment. Kody's face crumbles. For a man who once commanded 4 households, he now stands as a stranger in his own family's story. He tries to speak, but emotion chokes the words. I just wanted to see you all together, he stammers. That's all I ever wanted. But Christine's voice cuts through the silence. Calm, steady, final. No, Kody. You wanted control. And when you lost it, you called it betrayal. The camera catches his eyes. Wet, empty, lost. The man who once called himself the head of a plural family now stands in the ruins of his own making. Fade to black. Narration resumes. Season 20 isn't about polygamy anymore. It's about truth. It's about the children who saw through the lies. It's about the mothers who refused to keep pretending. And it's about a father who finally ran out of people to blame. This is where the story begins. The unraveling of the Brown family, not through scandal but through silence. Because sometimes, the quiet after betrayal is louder than any scream. The night after Kody's unexpected visit, Flagstaff felt heavier, as if grief itself lingered in the air. For years the kids learned to survive the quiet between visits. But this time the quiet was different. It was final. Inside Janelle's small living room, Gabe sits hunched over, scrolling through old photos of him and Garrison. The two brothers smiling in uniforms side by side, long before the family wars began. "We just wanted a dad," he whispers, voice trembling. "Not a sermon. Not a camera. Just a dad." The camera doesn't cut away. It stays there, on the moment his face breaks, on the breath that won't come. And for the first time viewers see not just tension, but damage. Broken Heart Scene 2, Janelle's breaking point. Janelle moves slowly through the kitchen, the weight of everything catching up at once. She's been the quiet strength for years. The one who managed the chaos, the money, the schedules, the children. But now even she begins to unravel. She looks into the camera, eyes raw, voice shaking. You spend years defending someone who doesn't even show up when your child needs him. And you start to realize, you were never defending love. You were defending an illusion. The producers stay silent. They know this isn't just another confessional. This is Janelle's reckoning. She continues, barely holding herself together. "I begged him to call Gabe after Garrison's funeral. Just one call. He said he wasn't ready. Not ready? What father isn't ready to comfort his own son?" Her voice cracks on the last word. "I kept hoping he'd change. But maybe we were the ones who needed to." The room goes silent except for the soft sound of her crying. The kind that doesn't demand attention, the kind that comes from years of trying to hold it all in. Film frames, Scene 3, Gabe's confrontation later that night. Gabe records a private message. Meant for himself, not the show. But producers ask to use it, and after a long pause he says yes. He looks straight into the lens. No anger, just grief. "I used to think my dad's love was something you could earn," he says. "Like if I said the right thing or didn't upset Robyn, maybe he'd remember me. But that's not love. That's fear." He exhales, wiping his face. "When Garrison died, I thought maybe that would wake him up. But he didn't come. He didn't say sorry. He didn't even say my brother's name." The air goes still. Even the producers look broken behind the camera. Candle Scene 4, Kody's denial. Cut to Kody, again outside Robyn's house, pacing, ranting, spiraling. "They've all turned against me," he mutters. "Janelle's poisoning them. Christine's teaching them to hate me. I've sacrificed everything for these kids." But this time the editors don't cut the footage. They leave in the silence that follows. The long pause where even he seems to realize the truth. Because behind him Robyn doesn't say a word. Her arms are crossed. Her face, unreadable. "Maybe you should call Gabe," she finally says quietly. Kody spins toward her. "I'm not ready." And that's it. That's the sentence that will echo across the rest of the season. Not "I'm sorry." Not "I love him." Just "I'm not ready." The moment lands like a death knell. The sound of a father choosing pride over peace. Collision Scene 5. The producer's dilemma. Inside the editing bay, producers whisper. They've never seen Kody like this. Raw, unguarded, unraveling. What was meant to be a new chapter is now a tragedy unfolding in real time. One producer off camera mutters, "We can't air all of this. It's too dark." But another voice, firm, tired, replies, "The truth is the story now." And with that, the season takes its turn. Clapperboard Scene 6. The mothers unite. Janelle visits Christine the next morning. There's no makeup. No staged smiles. Just two women who've lived through too much. Christine wraps her arms around her. "He can't hurt you anymore," she says softly. "He already lost the best parts of you." Janelle doesn't reply. She just exhales, the kind of breath that sounds like years leaving her chest. In that moment you realize, the show isn't about Kody's family anymore. It's about their survival without him. Camera fades to black. Narration resumes. When love turns into control, when faith becomes manipulation, and when silence replaces apology, that's when families stop breaking apart and start breaking free. In episode 1, that's exactly what happens. For the first time in over a decade, the Brown family stops pretending, and the truth finally takes center stage. The footage wasn't meant to air. That night, someone on the production team uploaded a few raw files to the internal server. Janelle's confession, Gabe's monologue, and Kody's "I'm not ready" moment. But within hours it was out. Leaked. Unedited. Unforgiving. The internet woke up to the truth. Not the polished TLC version, but the raw, shaking reality of a father who abandoned his children's grief. Laptop Computer Scene 1. The internet erupts by morning. #JusticeForGabe was trending. Clips of Kody pacing outside Robyn's home flooded TikTok and Reddit. His words looped over and over, "I'm not ready." Millions of viewers saw what the network had tried to hide. Not a patriarch torn by faith, but a man drowning in his own ego. Comment sections turned into digital confessions. Fans shared their own stories of emotional neglect. Mothers wrote, "I saw my ex in his eyes." Daughters wrote, "That was my father too." The Brown family's private pain had become a mirror for a generation that grew up silenced. And in that reflection, the myth of Kody Brown shattered. Microphone scene 2, Robyn's defense inside her house. Robyn stared at her phone, scrolling through thousands of angry comments. Her own children were reading them too. Aurora cried. Brianna slammed her bedroom door. Tulsi begged her to issue a statement. Something polished, something sympathetic. But Robyn, desperate to control the narrative, went live instead. Her eyes were red, her tone shaking. "You don't know what's really happening," she said. "You don't understand how hard this has been for Kody. He's grieving too." But the internet wasn't buying it anymore. Every tear felt rehearsed. Every word echoed the same manipulation fans had heard for years. Comments poured in like a storm. "Stop making excuses for him. You protected him, not the kids. We've seen the real story now." And then, the moment that sealed her fate. Robyn whispered almost to herself, "I wish the cameras had stopped before it got this ugly." The clip went viral in seconds. Because the world finally understood, Robyn didn't mourn the truth. She mourned the exposure. Collision Scene 3, TLC in crisis. By noon, the network was in full panic mode. Executives held emergency meetings. Lawyers debated pulling the episode. But the damage was irreversible. For years, TLC had profited from the illusion of harmony, the idea that this family was complicated but intact. Now the mask was gone. Emails between producers leaked too. One of them read, "We can't edit empathy into someone who doesn't have it." That line alone broke the internet. It became the headline of every article from People, ET, and Rolling Stone. And for the first time since 2010, Sister Wives wasn't a reality show. It was a documentary of collapse. The death of a family in real time. Candle Scene 4. The daughter's silence at Christine's house. Michael T. sat in stunned silence, watching the chaos unfold online. The footage of her father's breakdown, the one she begged TLC not to air, was everywhere. "I wanted him to tell the truth," she said softly. "Not like this." Truly, sitting beside her, whispered something almost inaudible. "Maybe this is the only way he'll see it." Their mother, Christine, didn't respond. She just looked out the window, face full of conflicting emotions, grief, relief, and something quieter, acceptance. Broken Heart Scene 5, Kody breaks. By the third day, Kody finally saw the footage himself. Every word he'd said replayed, dissected, mocked. He locked himself in the den, refusing to film. Producers described him as vacant, a man staring at his reflection in the screen as if trying to find the person he used to be. He muttered to himself, "They made me the villain." But the truth was harsher. He didn't need editing to look cruel. He only needed honesty. Film frames. Scene 6. Janelle's strength. While chaos raged online, Janelle stepped into the spotlight, not for fame but for clarity. In a short, unfiltered interview, she said quietly, "I don't want hate. I just want healing." But healing doesn't happen when the truth is buried. It happens when it's faced. Her words cut through the noise like a beacon. Viewers flooded the comments with gratitude. For the first time, Janelle wasn't just seen as the quiet wife. She was seen as the woman who survived the storm. Dove Scene 7, The Shift. By week's end, TLC released an official statement, confirming that the leaked footage would remain in the episode, in respect to transparency. Fans called it the most honest thing the network had ever done. And just like that, Sister Wives transformed. No longer a story about one man's plural dreams, but about the women and children he left behind when those dreams turned to dust. Soft piano music returns, narration voice lowers. When the truth finally came out, it didn't destroy them. It set them free. Christine found peace. Janelle found strength. Mary found her voice. And the children, finally, found silence that wasn't heavy anymore. Because now, the world finally knew what they'd lived through. The world had seen everything now. There was no editing left to hide behind. No clever confessionals, no polished narrative. Just the raw truth of a family broken under the weight of its own denial. The leaked footage didn't just destroy an illusion, it ignited a movement. Across social media, thousands began sharing the same message. We watched these women break for a man who refused to bend. For over a decade, the world had been told this was a story about faith, family, and plural love. But as the dust settled, everyone could see it for what it truly was. A story about power, silence, and the cost of devotion. Collision Scene 1. The public turns. Within days, the narrative flipped completely. Kody and Robyn, once seen as the last standing couple, became symbols of hypocrisy. Clips of Kody's rage, his words about disobedient wives and ungrateful kids, flooded Twitter and YouTube. Every interview resurfaced. Every contradiction dissected. On Reddit, one comment summed it up. He spent years preaching unity while dismantling his family, piece by piece. TLC's official Instagram page was flooded with comments demanding accountability. Viewers called for justice not in a legal sense but in truth-telling, in refusing to let charm rewrite pain. The tide had turned, and no network could control it. Broken Heart Scene 2. The fall of the perfect couple. Robyn tried to hold on. She appeared online again, pale, eyes red, her voice trembling between guilt and justification. "You all don't know what it's like to be hated for loving someone," she said. "We're not villains. We're just misunderstood." But this time the comment section was merciless. Because the world had finally seen what love looked like in their household. Fear, silence, and manipulation disguised as loyalty. Clips of Robyn crying while Janelle sat alone played side by side in fan edits. One viral video titled, "The Queen and the Consequence," hit 10 million views overnight. Fans weren't cruel, they were awakening. They saw, in Robyn's tears, the same self-preservation that had allowed years of suffering to be brushed aside. Even former TLC employees started speaking out anonymously. One producer claimed, "Robyn knew exactly what she was doing. He managed Kody like a script. She played empathy and he believed it was love." By week's end, Robyn deactivated all social media accounts. The illusion shattered, and with it her hold on Kody. Candle Scene 3. Kody's spiral. As the world turned against him, Kody retreated from the cameras. For days he refused interviews. Then one night TLC aired unseen footage, filmed just hours after the leak. It showed Kody sitting alone in the garage, hands dirty, face swollen with exhaustion. The once confident patriarch now looked like a ghost of his former self. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen," he muttered. "I just wanted to be loved." He laughs bitterly afterward, not out of humor but disbelief. "And now they all hate me." But what broke the audience most was the moment that followed. He looked into the lens and whispered, "Maybe I was never the hero I thought I was." That line echoed like a confession. The one truth he had never dared to say aloud. Crescent Moon Scene 4. The wives rise while Kody hid, the women stepped into the light. Christine, radiant and calm, appeared on a morning show. When asked if she felt vindicated by the footage, she shook her head. "Vindication isn't healing," she said softly. "It's just proof of what we already survived." The audience applauded, not for scandal but for strength. Mary followed days later, finally speaking without restraint. "I stayed too long," she admitted, "because I believed pain was proof of loyalty. But love shouldn't hurt this much." The crowd fell silent. And then came Janelle. In a clip that would go viral across every platform. Standing outside her home, she said, "We were never sister wives. We were survivors in the same storm." That one sentence became the heart of the movement. A generation of women, silent, devoted, dismissed, finally had words for what they had lived. Speech Balloon Scene 5. The fans speak across the internet. Fans who had once watched for entertainment now watched for truth. Fan pages transformed into support spaces for women leaving toxic relationships. Clips from old episodes resurfaced with new meaning. Moments once brushed off as drama, now seen as warning signs. A viral montage titled "We Missed the Red Flags" showed Kody's dismissive tone toward Janelle, his manipulation of Mary, and Robyn's subtle control tactics. It wasn't entertainment anymore. It was a case study in emotional erosion. Every comment under it said the same thing. We weren't just watching a show. We were watching abuse. Movie Camera Scene 6. TLC's rebrand. Inside TLC headquarters, executives made a bold decision. They wouldn't cancel Sister Wives. They would evolve it. The new working title leaked, Breaking Free, The Real Lives of the Brown Women. Christine, Janelle, and Mary were all approached to lead the spin-off. And this time the cameras wouldn't follow a patriarch's dream, they'd follow the women's healing. The promo teaser aired quietly one Sunday night. For years you saw the family through his eyes. Now you'll see it through theirs. The internet exploded. Fans cheered. The Brown women were finally taking back their story. Broken Heart Scene 7. The family fracture not everyone celebrated. Kody's older children, Logan, Maddie, and Gwendolyn, wrestled with guilt and relief. They loved their father once. But they couldn't protect him from himself. Gabe said nothing publicly. He simply posted one photo. Garrison's military patch resting beside a candle. No caption. No hashtags. Just peace. It said more than words ever could. Sunrise Scene 8. The end of an era. Months later, cameras returned to Flagstaff for one final shoot. Not for drama but for closure. The wives stood together in Christine's backyard, surrounded by their children. No confessions. No producer's prompts. Just silence and soft laughter. Christine looked around and said quietly, "This used to be where our lives broke apart. But look at us now, we made it through." Janelle smiled. Mary nodded, tears in her eyes. Truly ran across the grass, chasing one of Janelle's grandkids. It wasn't a perfect family, it was a free one. The camera lingered on the three women as the sunlight hit their faces. And for the first time in Sister Wives history, the shot faded out without Kody. Dove epilogue. The truth beyond television. A black screen fades in with white text. The truth doesn't destroy families. Lies do. Christine's voice narrates one final time. We spent years trying to love a man who couldn't love us back. But we forgot the simplest truth. Love isn't measured by control or sacrifice. It's measured by peace. And for the first time in our lives, we have it. Soft piano swells. The credits roll over old family photos. Smiles from another era, now bittersweet reminders of what once was. As the final image fades, Kody holding his children in a long-forgotten moment, a single line appears on screen. In memory of the love that built us, and the truth that saved us. Fade to black. Closing narration, Your Brown House Secrets Channel outro voice. Season 20 was never about the end of Sister Wives. It was about the beginning of truth. The beginning of healing. And the moment the Brown family stopped living for television, and started living for themselves. The storm didn't end when the cameras stopped rolling. It lingered, in whispers, in headlines, in the hollow silence that filled the Brown home. For years, Kody had built his identity on control. Control of faith, control of image, control of love. But now, the world had seen him lose control. And there was no script left to hide behind. High Voltage Scene 1, Robyn's denial. Robyn tried to spin the story. In a private confessional leaked weeks later, she sobbed, "I never wanted this to happen. We were supposed to show love, not hate." But the footage told a different story. It showed her whispering to producers, "Don't let the audience see him like this. Please." It wasn't compassion. It was protection, not for Kody's soul but for their image. For the first time, viewers stopped seeing her as the obedient wife, and started seeing the architect of silence. Fire Scene 2. The fan backlash outside their walls. The world erupted. Petitions flooded TLC's inbox. Cancel the Brown show. Give Janelle and Christine their own spin-off. Online communities turned into movements. One viral post read, "We watched these women break for 10 years. Now let's watch them rebuild." And they did. Christine, radiant in Utah, began filming Cooking with Courage, a TLC web series celebrating independence after spiritual abuse. Janelle launched Freedom Foundations, a project supporting women leaving toxic religious structures. Even Mary, long the silent shadow, began hosting empowerment retreats for women reclaiming their worth. Meanwhile, Kody and Robyn were left with nothing but echoes. Derelict House Scene 3, The Empty House. Coyote Pass. The land that once symbolized family unity, now stood abandoned. Unfinished roads, half-built dreams, and silence. Kody wandered the property one afternoon, cameras catching him tracing the dirt with his boot. His voice was barely audible. "I thought I could build forever here." The director asked, "Do you still believe in plural marriage?" He didn't answer. He just looked toward the horizon, and for the first time didn't have a sermon, a rule, or a justification. Only regret. Speech balloon scene 4. The children speak. As the episode aired, the adult Brown children began speaking publicly. Logan, calm and steady, said, "We grew up believing unity meant silence. But sometimes silence is complicity." Gabe, still fragile but finding his voice, shared, "I loved my dad. I just wanted him to love me back in the same room where the cameras weren't rolling." Those words cut deeper than any confession. They exposed not just a family's fracture, but the generational wounds that formed beneath the lights of a reality show. Performing Arts Scene 5, Robyn's collapse. When Robyn's apology video aired, it was meant to be her redemption. But it became her undoing. She cried, she blamed editing, she even invoked faith. But fans saw it for what it was, another performance. Clips of her contradictions flooded social media. One moment blaming TLC, the next claiming divine calling. The top comment beneath the video read, "You didn't lose a family. You helped destroy one." And for once Robyn didn't respond. She deactivated her account. Candle Scene 6, the network shift. TLC, sensing the end, made a quiet announcement weeks later. Sister Wives. The new chapter. A rebrand focusing on Christine, Janelle and Mary's lives beyond Kody. It wasn't just a new show. It was a rebirth. The tagline read, "Freedom isn't breaking apart. It's breaking free." And in that single phrase, years of manipulation, tears and control found closure. Crescent Moon Scene 7. Mary's final words. In the final scene of the season, Mary sits by a fire, alone but peaceful. The same woman once left waiting on a porch now smiles into the flames. "For years I begged for love that never came. Now I understand. Sometimes God doesn't fix what's broken. He lets you walk away from it." Her words weren't bitter. They were healing. And as her voice faded, the screen cut to a quiet montage. Christine laughing with her daughters, Janelle hiking through Arizona trails, Mary standing beside a new retreat center. Meanwhile, Kody's final image appeared, sitting alone on the Coyote Pass land, staring at a foundation that never became a home. Clapperboard epilogue. The silence after the storm. Every empire built on control eventually collapses. But the ones who rise from the ruins are the ones who learned to live without permission. The sister wives story didn't end in divorce or disaster. It ended in awakening. Because what once was Kody's story is now the story of the women who survived him. And as the final credits roll, the screen fades to black and a single caption appears, dedicated to the ones who chose peace over permission. The cameras were gone. The crew had packed up. The lights that once turned pain into performance were dimmed for the first time in over a decade. And in that silence, the truth had nowhere left to hide. Candle Scene 1. The silence of the land. Kody returned to Coyote Pass one last time. Not to build, not to preach, just to sit. The air was dry, the wind sharp. You could almost hear the ghosts of laughter, arguments, and broken promises echo through the unfinished foundation. He walked past the spot where he once promised 4 homes. Where he once dreamed of unity. Now there was only dust and wind. He whispered to no one in particular, "I thought I was leading a family. Turns out I was just chasing my reflection." The camera lingered on his face, aged, defeated, hollow. The patriarch had no followers left. Not in spirit, not in faith, not even in blood. Speech balloon scene 2, Christine's piece across state lines. Christine's kitchen was filled with laughter again. The sound of life. Of healing. Her daughters cooked beside her, giggling, teasing, burning toast. The kind of noise that had been missing for too long. She looked into the camera one final time and said with quiet grace, "When I left, people said I destroyed the family. But maybe I just saved what was left of it." Fans called it her redemption moment. But for Christine, it wasn't about redemption. It was about release. Freedom didn't look like rebellion. It looked like peace at the breakfast table. Sunrise over mountains. Scene 3, Janelle's solitude. Janelle's storyline turned into a soft, powerful silence. She wasn't chasing interviews or headlines. She was chasing sunlight, hiking, meditating, reading. Her strength wasn't loud. It was grounded. She sat near a campfire and said simply, "For so long I believed loyalty meant endurance. Now I know loyalty also means letting go when the love is gone." That line struck millions. It became a viral quote, etched across social media. the voice of quiet empowerment. Because Janelle didn't explode. She evolved. Crescent Moon Scene 4, Mary's Awakening. Mary stood inside her new retreat center. The same hands that once clung to a marriage now building a sanctuary for others. For years I tried to fit into a love that wasn't meant for me, she said softly. Now I build places for women who've been told they're too much, or not enough. She looked into the camera and smiled for the first time in years. Not because she was healed but because she was healing. Mary's silence had always been mistaken for weakness. But in the end, it became her greatest weapon. Because she didn't destroy him with words. She buried his control with her peace. High Voltage Scene 5, Robyn's Isolation. Meanwhile, Robyn's world grew smaller by the day. Once adored, now abandoned. The house that once held laughter now echoed with blame. She sat in a darkened living room, scrolling through old videos of the family before it all fell apart. Kody's voice still filled the background, defending her, loving her, idolizing her. But now even his tone sounded foreign. The network calls stopped. The sponsorships ended. And slowly, so did the illusion. She whispered through tears, I thought if I followed every rule I'd be safe. But no one told me the rules change when the truth comes out. It wasn't hatred that destroyed Robyn. It was exposure. The world finally saw the woman behind the tears, and realized every sob had been rehearsed for survival. Fire Scene 6. The children's healing. The children stopped talking about fame. They started talking about therapy. For the first time, the brown kids